They say a bride's wedding day is the happiest moment of her life. But as Emma stared at herself in the mirror, a strange, suffocating feeling crept in her chest, like a warning she couldn't understand yet. The grand bridal suite shimmered in golden sunlight, casting a warm glow over the room. White roses, delicate lace, and soft laughter filled the air. Emma sat in front of a massive vanity mirror, her silk robe slipping off her shoulders as a makeup artist dusted a final stroke of blush across her cheek. She should have felt like a princess. She should have been happy. But deep inside, something felt wrong. A strange weight pressed on her chest, an unease she couldn't name. "Emma, you look breathtaking," her best friend Olivia gushed, adjusting the delicate veil. The bridesmaids cheered, their voices ringing with excitement. Emma forced a smile. Something was off, but what? She reached for her phone, just a nervous habit. As soon as she picked it up, it vibrated. One new message. Her stomach twisted. The screen displayed an unknown number. Her thumb hovered over the notification. Her heart pounded as she read the preview. "You deserve to know the truth before it's too late." Cold chills ran down her spine. "What is it?" Olivia asked, noticing her change in expression. Emma hesitated. Was it just a prank? A last-minute wedding joke? She locked the phone, brushing it off with a nervous laugh. "Nothing. Just nerves," she lied. The room buzzed with excitement as her mother entered, holding the wedding gown. "It's time, sweetheart." Emma nodded, shaking the tension from her shoulders. Today was the biggest day of her life. She had no idea it would also be the day her life shattered into pieces. A bride's wedding day is supposed to be filled with love, laughter, and joy. But for Emma, it was filled with something else, an unsettling vibration in her hands that refused to stop. Emma took a deep breath, shaking off the chill that ran down her spine. "It's just nerves. Just wedding jitters." That's what she told herself. The bridal suite was alive with excitement. Bridesmaids adjusting their dresses, her mother fussing over the final touches, soft violin music playing in the background. Everything was perfect, or at least it should have been. Then buzz. The vibration rattled in her palm again. Emma's heart skipped a beat. Another message. She clenched her jaw, debating whether to check it. Her fingers trembled as she swiped open her phone. "Unknown number. You can still walk away, Emma, before you see what I have to show you." Her blood ran cold. "Emma, everything okay?" Olivia's voice was light, but her eyes narrowed with concern. Emma forced a smile. Yeah, I'm fine." She wasn't fine. Her hands felt clammy. Her stomach twisted into knots. Her wedding day, the day she had dreamed of since childhood, was slipping into something far more sinister. She took a deep breath, locking her phone and stuffing it into her silk robe's pocket. Not now. She turned back to the mirror, adjusting the delicate lace on her gown, trying to focus. But in the reflection, she didn't see a joyful bride. She saw a woman standing at the edge of something dangerous. Buzz. Again. Emma's fingers twitched toward her phone, but before she could grab it. Knock. Knock. A firm double knock at the door. The room fell silent. Emma's breath hitched. The wedding planner peeked in, her voice chipper. 5 minutes, darling. Time to get you to the altar." Emma nodded, her lips pressing into a tight line. But as the door closed, a single terrifying thought echoed in her mind. Walk away? From what? What was she about to see? And deep inside, she already knew. Every step toward the altar should have felt like a dream. But for Emma, each step felt like she was walking toward the edge of cliff and she was about to fall. The grand cathedral doors swung open. A hush fell over the guests. The melody of the wedding march soared through the air. Emma took a breath, a shaky, fragile breath. Her father's arm was linked with hers, guiding her forward. "You okay, sweetheart?" he whispered, sensing the stiffness in her grip. Emma nodded, forcing a small smile. But inside, her heart was hammering against her ribs. Because her phone, the phone she had shoved into her bouquet, had just buzzed again. Her fingers twitched. The text was burning inside that screen, waiting to be read. But she couldn't stop now. Not here. Not in front of hundreds of guests. Not in front of him. At the end of the aisle, Liam stood tall in his tailored suit, his expression filled with admiration, with love, or was it something else? For the first time, Emma questioned everything. Her dress brushed against the aisle floor, her veil floating behind her like a ghost. But the closer she got to Liam, the heavier her body felt, as if she was dragging a terrible secret with her. Her eyes locked onto his. A flicker of something passed across his face. Was it nervousness? Guilt? Or was she just imagining it? Then buzz. A louder vibration. This time, the guests were too focused on her beauty to notice. But she noticed. She swallowed hard, her throat dry as sand. She had to read it. Now, Emma's feet hesitated. The wedding planner frowned from the corner. Her father gave her hand a small squeeze. Liam tilted his head ever so slightly, his eyes dark, questioning. Emma inhaled sharply. She let go of her father's arm. She pulled her bouquet higher, tilting it just enough to glance at her phone screen. Her breath caught. Unknown number. Stop the wedding. He's lying to you. Emma's vision blurred. The room suddenly felt too bright, too suffocating. She lifted her gaze to Liam, her fiancé, the man she had trusted with her heart. And then, she saw it. That flicker of fear in his eyes. The kind of fear that comes when you know you've been caught. Emma's grip on the bouquet tightened. Should she keep walking, or should she run? Weddings are supposed to be filled with love, joy, and promises of forever. But for Emma, her wedding day had just turned into a ticking time bomb, and she was holding the detonator. The air inside the grand cathedral grew thick, thick with secrets, thick with doubt. Emma's hands trembled as she clutched her bouquet tighter, her gaze locked onto Liam's face. The text message burned in her mind like a brand. Stop the wedding. He's lying to you. Liam stepped forward slightly, his smile faltering. Emma, everything okay? The priest cleared his throat, shuffling the papers in his hands. The guests sat in eager silence, unaware that the moment they had all gathered for was crumbling before their eyes. Emma's breathing was shallow, erratic. Her father leaned toward her, whispering, Sweetheart, do you need a moment? She needed more than a moment. She needed the truth. Slowly, methodically, she lifted the bouquet higher, shielding her phone screen as she swiped the message open. Unknown number. I can prove it. Check her email. Do it now. A lump formed in her throat. Her fingers felt numb as she switched to her email app. One new message. She hesitated. One tap, and she would know. But could she handle it? Could she handle knowing that the man standing at the altar, the man she was moments away from marrying, might not be the person she thought he was? She opened the email, and then her entire world shattered. The subject line hit her like a truck. Liam's secret life. Read before you say I do. Her breath hitched. Attached to the email were pictures, screenshots, bank transactions, messages. Her fingers scrolled before she could stop them. And then, her heart stopped. A picture of Liam, with another woman. Not just any woman. Her best friend, Rachel. Emma's knees nearly gave out. She gripped the side of her dress, her nails digging into the fabric. The cathedral spun around her. The guests blurred into a sea of meaningless faces. Liam's voice cut through the fog. Emma. His tone was still calm, still rehearsed. But she had seen enough. Emma's eyes lifted, no longer filled with love, but with pure, seething betrayal. Is there something you want to tell me, Liam? Her voice was sharp, a dagger coated in ice. Liam's face paled slightly, but he recovered quickly. What? What are you talking about? She turned the phone screen toward him. The pictures, undeniable, unforgivable, glaring back at him. Gasps rippled through the guests. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Rachel, sitting in the front row, visibly tensed. Liam blinked. His jaw tightened. But still, he didn't deny it. Emma's lips parted, but no words came out. A cold, sick realization slithered through her veins. This wasn't just a mistake. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was a planned deception. Emma sucked in a sharp breath. The weight of the moment crushed her chest. Her wedding wasn't just ruined. It was never meant to happen. And then, for the first time since the ceremony began, she let go of the bouquet. It hit the floor with a soft, final thud. The weight of the lie, the weight of Liam's betrayal, crashed down with it. And just like that, the wedding was over. Some betrayals leave scars. Others? They leave you running for your life. Emma felt the walls closing in. Gasps filled the cathedral. The once whispering guests now murmured loudly, some even standing. Chaos replaced celebration. Her mother rushed toward her, confusion and concern in her eyes. "Emma, what's going on?" But Emma couldn't answer. She couldn't breathe. Liam stepped forward. His face was unreadable, but his voice was smooth, too smooth. "Emma, please. Let's talk about this." Talk. Was he serious? Emma's pulse pounded in her ears. She took a step back, then another. Rachel, the so-called best friend, had gone ghost white. She looked down, refusing to meet Emma's eyes. Coward. Emma's body screamed at her to move, to get out, to run. Then she saw it, the side door near the altar. An exit, her escape. Without another thought, she turned and ran. Gasps turned to shouts. Someone called her name, but she didn't look back. Her heels clattered against the marble floor. The bouquet lay abandoned where she had dropped it, a relic of the life she almost walked into. She shoved the door open, stepping into cold air. Freedom. But freedom came with a price. Because the moment she turned the corner, she heard footsteps behind her. Fast. Heavy. Catching up. Emma, wait. Liam. No. She ran faster. Her wedding dress, once a dream, now a prison, dragged against the pavement. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She reached the parking lot. Her car was there, but the keys? Still inside the bridal suite. Damn it. A sharp grip caught her wrist. Emma, stop. Liam's voice was no longer calm. It was desperate, panicked. She turned to face him, eyes blazing. Let me go. Liam's grip tightened for a second, too tight. Then, just as quickly, he released her. His face twisted in frustration. But also fear? Why fear? Emma, you don't understand, he whispered. It's not what you think. Not what she thinks. Her whole body shook. I just saw the proof, Liam. Do you really think I'd still say I do after that? His jaw clenched. It's not that simple. Emma's chest heaved. Then explain it. Right now. Liam hesitated. His hands balled into fists at his sides. He looked over his shoulder like someone was watching. And then Emma knew. This wasn't just about cheating. This was bigger. She didn't know how. But Liam wasn't just lying. He was hiding something. And suddenly, running away wasn't enough. She needed the truth. Some betrayals break hearts. Others unravel entire lives. Emma's breath came in ragged gasps. The weight of her wedding gown felt unbearable now, as if she were drowning in fabric and lies. Liam stood before her, his expression twisted in something between guilt and desperation. But there was something else in his eyes. Something dark. You need to listen to me, he said, voice low and urgent. Emma clenched her fists. Listen to what? Another lie? Liam flinched. It's not a lie. It's complicated. She shook her head. Complicated? I was about to marry you, Liam. And 5 minutes before I walked down the aisle, I got a text that shattered my world. Her voice cracked, but she refused to break. Not now. Liam took a step closer. Who sent it? Emma let out a bitter laugh. Oh, you don't know? Her hands trembled as she reached into the folds of her dress and pulled out her phone. Here, read it yourself. She shoved the phone into his hands. The damning message still glowed on the screen. Ask your groom about Rachel. Ask him about last night. Then ask yourself if you still want to say I do. Liam's grip tightened around the phone. His jaw twitched, and for the first time, he looked truly afraid. Not guilty. Afraid. Emma narrowed her eyes. Say something, Liam. He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. I was going to tell you. But not like this. Emma's chest ached. Tell me what? Liam looked around, as if making sure they were alone. Then he leaned in, voice barely above a whisper. It's not about Rachel. Emma froze. What? Then what is it about, Liam? She hissed. He hesitated, then grabbed her wrist. Not roughly, but with urgency. Come with me. I can't say it here. Emma yanked her arm free. No, you say it now, or I walk away forever. Liam's face paled. For a second, he just stood there, staring at her. Then, in a voice so low she barely heard it, he said, It's about me. Emma's heart pounded. What do you mean? Liam swallowed hard. There's something you don't know. About who I really am. A chill ran down her spine. Who I really am. Not what I did. Not I made a mistake. Who I am. Emma stepped back, her pulse racing. Liam, what are you saying? His hands balled into fists. His whole body looked tense, like he was bracing for impact. Then, finally, he said it. I've been lying to you since the day we met. Silence. Emma felt the world tilt. Lying about what? Liam took a deep breath. Everything. The air between them grew thick with secrets and danger. Emma's legs trembled, but she forced herself to stay still. You need to trust me, Liam said. Come with me, and I'll explain everything. Emma let out a shaky laugh. Trust you? Are you serious? Liam's face darkened. You have no idea what's at stake. Emma's stomach twisted. Something in his voice. Asterisk, asterisk, the sheer fear in it. Asterisk, asterisk told her this was bigger than a cheating scandal. Bigger than Rachel. But that didn't mean she would follow him blindly. She took a slow step back. Then another. I'm not going anywhere with you, Liam. Liam's eyes flashed with something she couldn't name. Panic? Regret? Then his whole body stiffened. A low buzz vibrated in his pocket. His phone. Emma saw it, and she saw the name on the screen before he could shove it away. Her blood turned ice cold. Unknown caller. Liam's entire demeanor changed. His breathing grew sharp. His shoulders stiffened. Whoever was calling him, he was terrified of them. Emma locked eyes with him. Who is that? Liam didn't answer. The phone buzzed again. And again. Emma's heart pounded as a terrifying realization set in. This wasn't just about a wedding. This wasn't just about Rachel. This was something far, far worse. Emma didn't know what Liam was hiding. But whatever it was dangerous. Some calls bring good news. Others bring nightmares. This one, it changed everything. The phone buzzed again. Liam's hand twitched at his side, his whole body stiff with tension. Emma could see it, the sheer panic in his eyes. Whoever was calling, he wasn't expecting it, and he wasn't ready. Emma took a shaky step forward. Liam, who is it? He ignored her, his fingers hovering over the phone, as if answering would shatter the fragile reality around them. Buzz. The screen flashed again. Unknown caller. Liam's face drained of color. Emma's pulse hammered. She had never seen him like this. Answer it, she demanded. Liam finally looked at her, really looked at her. And in that moment, Emma felt it deep in her bones. This call wasn't just important. It was dangerous. His Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed. Then, with slow, deliberate movements, he answered. Yeah. His voice was tight, controlled, but Emma could hear the tension behind it. For a second, there was silence. Then, a voice crackled through the speaker. Cold, mechanical, unfamiliar. You should have told her the truth, Liam. Now it's too late. Emma's breath hitched. Her skin prickled with fear. Liam's jaw clenched. Don't do this. You had your chance. And then, click, the call ended. The room fell deathly silent. Emma's heartbeat roared in her ears. What the hell was that? She whispered. Liam didn't move. He just stood there, staring at the phone in his hand like it was a ticking time bomb. Emma grabbed his arm. Liam. His eyes snapped to hers. There was no hiding it now. The fear, the regret, the terrible, gut-wrenching truth. She took a step back. Who was that? Liam exhaled, long and slow. Then he shoved the phone into his pocket and ran a hand through his hair. You need to leave, he said. Emma blinked. What? You need to leave, Emma. Now. She let out a sharp, bitter laugh. Oh, now you care about my safety? After lying to me for God knows how long. Liam's hands balled into fists. I wasn't lying about loving you. Emma's stomach twisted. Then what were you lying about? Liam opened his mouth, then stopped. He looked past her, out the window, and that's when she saw it. The black car, parked across the street. Tinted windows. Engine running. Watching. Waiting. Emma's blood ran cold. What is going on? She whispered. Liam turned to her, his voice urgent now. Emma, please. If you ever trusted me, just listen to me now. You need to walk away. Forget everything. Forget me. Emma shook her head. No, not this time. You tell me the truth, Liam. Right now. Liam hesitated, just for a second, and that's when the first gunshot shattered the window. Glass exploded. Emma screamed. Liam lunged for her, pulling her to the ground as another shot rang out. "Run," he shouted. But Emma wasn't sure she could, because this wasn't just about a wedding anymore. This was life or death. Some truths can only be revealed in the face of death. And tonight, Emma would finally know everything, whether she was ready or not. Emma's ears rang from the gunshots, but Liam dragged her forward, forcing her to run. They sprinted through the empty hallways of the venue, her wedding dress torn and trailing behind her. Outside, the black car's doors flung open. Men in suits, armed, moving fast. They weren't here to talk. Liam shoved open a back door, pulling her into a dimly lit alley. He spun her around, gripping her shoulders. "Listen to me, there's no time." His voice was urgent, desperate. "You have to leave, right now." Emma yanked away. "Not until you tell me the truth." Liam's jaw clenched. Footsteps pounded behind them. He grabbed her hand and pulled her deeper into the alley, pressing her against the brick wall. "I was never supposed to fall in love with you," he admitted. Emma froze. "What?" Liam's eyes were filled with regret. "Emma, I wasn't who you thought I was. Bang! A bullet struck the wall inches from them. "Moo!" Liam shouted, pulling her into a side street. But Emma was done running. She yanked herself free, her eyes blazing. "No more lies, Liam. Tell me the truth, or I walk right back there and ask them myself." Liam exhaled sharply. His shoulders dropped, defeated. "They're here because of me," he said, voice tight. "Because of what I did. Because of who I really am." Emma's stomach twisted. "Who are you?" she whispered. Before Liam could answer, a deep voice cut through the night. "Oh, he didn't tell you." Emma turned, and there he was, a man in a dark coat, his gun raised, eyes locked on Liam. "Liam Shaw," the man sneered. "You really thought you could escape this?" Liam positioned himself in front of Emma. "She has nothing to do with this." The man smirked. "Oh, but she does now." Emma's blood ran cold. She had spent years loving this man. But now, standing in the cold night, hearing strangers say his name like it belonged to a criminal, she realized she never really knew him at all. "Liam," she whispered, "what did you do?" Liam turned to her, his eyes filled with something raw. "I'm sorry, Emma." And then, the man pulled the trigger. Some secrets shatter lives. Others? They rewrite destinies. And as the gun fired, Emma's world was about to change forever. Bang! The gunshot ripped through the night. Emma flinched, expecting pain, but it never came. Instead, Liam lunged, tackling the shooter. The gun clattered onto the pavement as the two men struggled. Emma's breath came in gasps as she stumbled backward, her wedding dress soaked in rain and dirt. She had to run, but she couldn't leave Liam. "Liam!" she screamed. The fight turned brutal. Punches thrown, grunts of pain. Liam wrestled the man to the ground, his knuckles bloodied as he fought for control. "Emma, go!" Liam's voice was desperate, raw. Emma hesitated for only a second before she grabbed the fallen gun. It felt heavy, cold in her shaking hands. The attacker saw her, smirked. "You don't have it in you, princess." Her fingers trembled on the trigger. Liam used the distraction. One final punch. A sickening crunch. Silence. Panting, he pushed himself up, chest heaving. "We have to go. Now." The escape. They ran. Through alleys, past flickering streetlights. Every footstep echoed the same thought in Emma's mind. Who was Liam? He led her to a parked motorcycle, tossing her a helmet. "Get on." Emma's heart pounded. "Tell me the truth, Liam, before I go anywhere with you." Liam exhaled, running a hand through his sweat-drenched hair. "Emma, I was hired to watch you, to protect you, but then I fell in love with you." His voice broke. "And now they want you dead, because of me." Emma's mind spun. "Who are they?" Liam hesitated. "The people who killed your father." Emma's world shattered. Her father had died in an accident, or so she thought. "No," she whispered. "That's not possible." Liam's eyes were filled with pain. "It is. And they're coming for you, Emma. You have two choices. Trust me and survive, or stay and find out the hard way." Emma stared at him. The man she had planned to marry. The man who had just destroyed her perfect world. Could she trust him? The sound of distant sirens made the decision for her. She climbed onto the bike. Liam revved the engine, his grip tight on the handlebars. "Hold on." And as they sped into the night, Emma realized this was just the beginning. Some wounds heal. Others leave scars that redefine who we are. But Emma? She was never the same again. 1 year later, the ocean waves crashed against the shore as Emma stood barefoot in the sand, the wind tugging at her loose white dress. The salty air filled her lungs, but it couldn't wash away the memories. A year had passed since that fateful night. A year since her wedding day turned into a nightmare. Since the man she was meant to marry became the man who saved her life and then disappeared. Liam was gone. No notes, no calls, just an empty space where he used to be. Emma had spent months searching, hoping, but some ghost didn't want to be found. She clutched the worn leather journal in her hands, the only thing he had left behind. Inside were pages filled with truth. Secrets about her father's murder, about the people who had tried to silence her, about why Liam had to leave. To keep you safe, I have to disappear. But Emma, no matter where I am, I will always love you. Her fingers traced his last words, her heart aching. But she wasn't that helpless bride anymore. She had fought back. She had survived. Now, she wasn't just Emma Sinclair, the girl who had almost married a lie. She was Emma Sinclair, the woman who uncovered the truth. The people who destroyed her family had been exposed. Their empire had crumbled, and though the scars remained, she had finally reclaimed her life. A soft breeze swept across the shore, and for the first time in a long time, Emma smiled. Wherever you are, Liam, I hope you're free too. She turned, walking away from the waves, leaving the past where it belonged. Because this wasn't the end of her story. It was only the beginning.